Hey everybody, Lawrence here from financialthing.com, and I know I've been talking about Crowdproperty for a little while. It's something that's been on my investment to do bucket list for several months. I've also had the opportunity to sit down with the CEO and one of the founders of Crowdproperty, Michael Bristow, and we did a Q&A. I was very impressed by Michael's explanations and the information that he gave to me. So finally I was able to open a Crowdproperty account, deposit some money, and I thought, what better way to show you how the system works than to go through this tutorial and show you as a new investor the types of features and deals that Crowdproperty offers you as an investor. Just a quick background on what Crowdproperty is. Basically, it's a peer-to-peer lending company that offers development deals that are backed by a first charge security against the property. So you as an investor pledge money to the development deal and you're paid a percentage return annually. It's generally up to 8% is the returns offered by Crowdproperty. And then if something happens to the development deal, something goes wrong, Crowdproperty has that first charge security, enabling them to legally go through the process and take back the property if they need to. But so far, they've had 100% of their projects fully paid back, and they have a perfect track record of repaying capital and interest, so they haven't had to deal with that, which hopefully will continue for them. We're going to go ahead and have a look at the statistics here. So 182 projects funded. So far, they've had 49 projects repaid, which means the other ones are still in development. 70.86 million invested so far as of June 2020. They've got 10,299 investors, and they've had 29.12 million pounds of money repaid to the investors. So far they have a good track record, and usually the loan terms vary in length. Here we have one that's for 15 months. We've got one that's 6 months, some of them 18 months or longer. Let's get to it. I'm going to show you what the platform looks like from the inside of the dashboard. As somebody that I've just deposited some money myself. This is the dashboard right here. What I usually do with a peer-to-peer lending company at the beginning is transfer a small amount of money just to make sure that the ACH from the bank transfer goes through to the platform without any issues. And it was very quick. Actually, that was received in less than one business day. I was able to send a transfer from Barclays straight through to Crowdproperty once my account was open. So here you can see my available balance of £500. I'm going to be sending some more in a few days once I have gotten this set up. The way that you deposit from your bank account, you can direct where that money goes to. For instance, in my standard self-select account, because I don't have an ISA set up, so this is a standard account, but inside of the self-select, if you click on standard up here up at the top and you get to your main dashboard under your self-select, if you go down here you can see deposit information. Now you'll go ahead and input that information into your bank account when you're sending money to Crowdproperty. Now if you click on your auto invest here, you're going to see that deposit information down here actually has a different reference. So instead of the reference on self-select saying your name, here the reference for auto invest is auto invest, and what you put in your reference in your bank account will direct where your money goes to. I found it to be a little bit confusing, and it was something that I didn't realize worked the way it worked until after I had made my first deposit. So the easiest way to do it is to direct that money where you think you want it to go, and then you can move it inside your dashboard if you choose to do so. And I'll show you how to do that next. So I went ahead and deposited another £500 into my Crowdproperty account because I wanted to show you the difference in what happens when you actually deposit more than £500. So now I have a portfolio of £1,000, as you can see on my dashboard. When I scroll down, it shows me that I have £500 in my self-select and £500 in my auto invest. So when I go ahead now and click on the auto invest portfolio and I click on auto invest settings, you'll see that I have currently £500 designated to auto invest. Now, if I want to change that, you can see there's a 3 additional buttons now at the bottom, which I didn't have before. So I can top up my auto invest. If I want to put more in there, I can do that by just adding funds here. I can go ahead and reduce it if I wanted to take some out. If I had if I had more than £500 in there, I wanted to reduce it down, I could do that. Or I can edit also my pledge size, which right now is still at £50 per loan, and I can go ahead and reduce it to whatever I am able to do so. So right now it's showing that my maximum auto invest pledge size is £100. That's 20% of what I have allocated to auto. And here my new maximum pledge size, depending on what I have that set. And obviously that is going to change depending on how much money you have allocated to your auto invest. We'll go through and look at the deals that they have right now. Crowdproperty, one of the downsides is it's actually a very popular platform, and I've had quite a lot of readers tell me they've tried to manually invest through Crowdproperty's deals, but what happens is the properties get taken up very fast on the loan deals. So if you log in 5 minutes after the loan has been launched, chances are you're probably not going to be able to get in on that loan. So a lot of people have gone into the auto invest feature, which is up here, and set their auto invest to automatically put a allocated amount of money into each new deal. So if we go ahead and look at one of the deals that's launching this week, this is an 8% annual return and 18-month loan term in Litchfield. Once you click on the Find Out More button, it gives you a ton of details about the loan, what the deal is, how much it's paying. You can see here the number of investors and number of pounds that have been pledged to the deal. And what you'll see is when that loan is launched here at 10 o'clock on Wednesday, you'll see probably this amount of funds pledged go up very quickly. And I would imagine this loan would become filled very fast. They have a £5,000 maximum pledge on this loan for the first 5 minutes. You can see down here, pledges will be limited to £5,000 for the first 5 minutes that the project is live, and then after 5 minutes, you can create a pledge of whatever you want. Now, I'd imagine that this loan will probably get filled up in the first 5 minutes because it's not a big loan. So if you do want to try to get on a loan on Crowdproperty, you really have to be logged in at the time it gets launched, and even then it's probably questionable whether you're actually going to get any part of that loan, because it wouldn't take much. It wouldn't take many £5,000 pledges to fill up a £425,000 loan. So that's why I'm planning on just using the auto invest. I'm going to try to manually invest in this loan to see if it's even possible to do that, but I also have my auto invest set. I'll show you that dashboard too. But as you can see here on the deal, it has a lot of information. You have a 20-minute YouTube video, which gives you a lot of information about the project. You have these photographs here. It shows you the project of what it is now and what it's going to look like when it's finished. This is actually a commercial development that's being changed to a residential. So you can see right now what the different photos of the insides. This is obviously an office before. So lots of information, blueprints, architectural blueprints of the plans, and all of your information down here shows you the project type, the charge, how much the total loan facility is, and the RICS valuation, the cost of work, and then the estimated sales value. That would be your gross development value. So that means this is the value after the property has been developed, what the Crowdproperty and their valuation people believe this will be worth. Now also, I just want to point out, when you're looking at these GDV, gross development values, they are very subjective. You do have to be a little bit careful with those, because there's a lot of things that are very subjective when it comes to figuring out what the final development price will be on any type of property development loan and project. And this doesn't go just for a Crowdproperty. This is any development lending that goes on through a bank or through peer-to-peer lending. The gross GDV can be somewhat subjective and it can move. So I don't always pay too much attention to the numbers. While they are helpful, what I'm most interested in is looking at, how much is being lent on this property and what is it worth today and what is it going to be worth in the future. So you do need to pay attention to those numbers, but it seems like Crowdproperty has a very good track record of getting these numbers to be pretty accurate, so which is good. So we can go through here. You got the strategy and vision of the development, what the exit strategy is, and then some information on the borrower. It has a little slider here, shows you how much money you put in, how much you're going to expect to make. So if you put in 5,000, you can expect to make £600 interest on 18 months or £200 on 6 months. So it just gives you a little bit of idea how much you're going to get back if the loan goes as it would be expected to go. For now, I've gone ahead and set up auto invest. So let's go ahead and look at the auto invest screen here. What'll happen is there'll be a green button when you're a new lender and you need to click on set up now here for auto invest. And then once you click that, it will sort of activate that. Now, one thing that did sort of skip my eye is up here is the auto invest settings buttons. It was a little bit hard to find. So once you click on the auto invest settings, you can then go ahead and turn it off and on. Right. Tells you that the minimum auto invest pledge is £50. You can set how much out of the entire amount on your deposit that you have that you want to go to auto invest. So if you had, say, £2,000 in your account and you wanted £1,000 to be auto invested and the other £1,000 you wanted to try to invest manually, that's where you would put that number in. So down here we have the maximum pledge size via auto invest. And what this does is it allows you to set how much you want from your auto invest allocation to go into each loan. You can have a minimum of £50 up to a maximum of 20% of whatever your total auto invest funds are. It tells you right down here the rules on that. So if you have a £500 auto invest allocation limit, you can invest a minimum of 50 or a maximum of £100 into each loan. Now this is good because it stops you from putting all of your auto invest funds into one loan. It gives you some kind of automatic diversification. I prefer to keep mine on the minimum amount, even though it'll take a little bit longer to get invested, but I'd rather have my money spread across many different deals than across 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. That's just a personal preference. You should do whatever you feel more comfortable with. So I'm often asked, Lawrence, if I have a large account balance, I'm sort of a high net worth investor, how long is it going to take for me to become diversified using auto invest? So let's say I have £50,000 or £100,000 that I want to invest through Crowdproperty, and I set my minimum amount, let's say £1,000 or £5,000. How long is it going to take me to get invested? Obviously, the lower that you set your amount to in the maximum pledge, the longer it is going to take you to become invested. But on the upside, you will be invested in more property deals. And I think that's a good thing on the diversification end. But your returns may suffer a little bit because you do have money that's sitting around waiting to be invested. The good thing about Crowdproperty is they do have quite a lot of new deals coming out every month. So from your dashboard, if you click on this live projects on the left on the link, you can go ahead and see what the new upcoming projects are. From here, it doesn't look like much is going on. We have this one that's coming up, but if you actually scroll down a little bit further, there's this coming soon information field right here, which shows that they have 6 deals that are coming up in June, ranging from £90,000 up to £650,000. So you have 6 deals. Okay, so today is the 17th of June 2020, and I wanted to let the Crowdproperty Auto Invest run for a couple of weeks before reporting back to see how much of my funds were actually invested into each deal. As you can see, 28th of May 2020, I made my first deposit. I ended up putting £1,000 into this account just to keep it relatively small to see what would happen and how the auto invest funds would be invested. And what happened is we had 5 investments So one on the 4th of June, the 6th of June, the 10th of June, the 13th of June, and the 17th of June, each for an amount of £50. Now, the first amount on the 4th of June was £50, and that was when I had the auto invest set at £50 maximum investment. And I went ahead and upped that afterwards. On the 5th of June, I put it at £100 maximum investment per loan. And as you can see, only £50 was invested on the 6th, the 10th, the 13th, and the 17th. So that means out of the 100 that I asked to be allocated, only £50 was invested into the loans. Now, what that means for you is if you have a large account balance, you're a higher net worth investor who's, got a lot more than I do in the account, it's going to take you quite a long time to get your funds invested into each loan using the auto invest. So what I recommend doing is, again, trying to manual invest. You'd have to be logged onto your computer a few minutes before 10 o'clock in the morning before each deal is posted live, and go ahead and try to snag the loan pieces down to whatever comfort level you have. Now, if I had an account value of 10,000, I'm probably looking to put 500 to £1,000 into each deal. Manual investing does, again, have a £5,000 limit for the first 5 minutes for what you can invest. So that gives people a chance to get in early on the deals. But I think if you do have a larger account balance, you are going to have to do a manual investment like that, as this auto invest only seems to invest the minimum amount, which is £50 into each deal. The reason for that being that there is hundreds of investors who are set up on auto invest, and Crowdproperty wants to be fair to all of those investors and give them a piece of each deal, which would be the minimum amount of £50. That's just because the demand for loan deals on Crowdproperty right now is very high. Maybe things will change in the future. This is only a very small test period of a couple of weeks. But as it stands right now, you're going to probably get a minimum investment of £50 on the auto invest. Another cool thing about investing through Crowdproperty, if you're in the auto invest and you leave your auto invest turned on and money is invested into a project that you decide you didn't want to be invested in, they give you a 24-hour cooling off period if you change your mind. So if you decide that you want to do manual loan selection, I'll walk you through the process and how that works. Now, remember that the minimum cost of investing manually into any deal is £500. What I would recommend is go on the left side of your dashboard on any page, and you can see this green button that says download our lending guide. And that gives a pretty good explanation of how everything in Crowdproperty works, including the manual loan selection. So before a deal is actually launched for pledging, it is put on the Crowdproperty platform 24 hours in advance, and that gives you, the lender, a chance to go ahead and look over the information. Personally, I'd like to see it go up a little bit more than 24 hours in advance. I think 48 would be nice to give people time to look at the deal information, but 24 is better than nothing. And also what's super cool is they have a live webinar. The Crowdproperty team hosts the webinar, and also the borrower is on the webinar. So lenders who are looking to loan money on the deal have the opportunity to ask more about the project and ask questions directly to the loan borrower. And that's very unique. I've never seen that before on a peer-to-peer lending platform. Very innovative. So the project goes live on the platform at 10 a.m. on the stated day. And then what happens is you pledge on the loan deal. And what they recommend is that you be online a few minutes before the loan deal gets launched. That way you have an opportunity to pledge, because the loans are very popular. So if you get on at 10:05, chances are you won't be able to manually pledge anything towards the loan, because it will probably be fully funded. Now, once the project has been fully funded, Crowdproperty will write to the lenders and ask for transfer of the funds for the project loan. And they have a deadline transfer of between 1 to 6 weeks before the loan actually launches. So it's not a requirement that you actually have the money in your account in order to pledge money. So one good thing about that is if you're not able to actually receive a piece of the loan by pledging manually, You don't have to actually have those funds in your account, so that's helpful. So I decided to try to look at one of the live loans that's going to be going up on Crowdproperty, just so I could see how long it took for this loan to get filled. So let's go ahead and take a look at what this loan is. And you can do that by clicking on View Live Projects. You can see it's if we scroll down a little bit, here it is. This is the former South Wade School, Melville Terrace. Now, when I took a look at this, it wasn't really that interesting to me, just looking kind of at the loan details. This kind of conversion, while it seems interesting, I think if it were to run into trouble for some reason, it would be a difficult project to resell. And also I noticed that it is kind of in a bit of a more rural area. And, I always kind of think about what is the negative downsides about buying into a loan. And I try not to buy anything that's just too sort of out there location-wise. And also that, might be a difficult sell. So right here, you've got a location that's in northern Scotland on the east coast. And, while it is within the vicinity of Dundee and Edinburgh, you can see it is still quite rural. So this would probably be a deal that I wouldn't want to put too much money into, just thinking about worst case scenario. If the property did for some reason go into default, I just don't want to get stuck with a loan that's on a property out here in the middle of nowhere. So that was kind of my thinking on this loan. So I decided to pass on the manual investing, and to remember that to manual invest, you got to put in £500 per deal. While we are waiting, this project is going to open up at 10 a.m. for pledges. I'm just waiting right now for it to come live. So I'll show you what happens when the project goes live, and we'll see how long it takes to fill. So it's a little bit before 10 a.m. It should open up. You'll see this button change to pledge to this property. There you go. Pledge now. Click on that. See down here, standard pledge is already got 19%. If I try to put anything less than £500 in as the pledge amount, it will say nope. Has to be between 500 and 5,000. There you are, up to 79% filled already, 93% and 99%, and it is completely filled. That did not take very long, less than 30 seconds to do, and it's done. So yeah, that's how quickly these manual pledges on these loans fill. One of the other pages that Crowdproperty offers is a statistics page. Now, if you're a peer-to-peer lender, whether you're new or advanced, you definitely want to take a look at this page. It's very, very important. And the amount of information that different peer-to-peer companies provide in regards to statistics can vary wildly. But I was really happy to see that Crowdproperty provides a ton of information. So right here, you can access this page, by the way, by going to the bottom of any Crowdproperty page. At the bottom, they have an About Us section, and then just click on the statistics, and you can access that from your dashboard or from the main part of Crowdproperty's information website. So here we have a sort of an overview of what the company statistics are, but what we're really interested in is down here. Look at these detailed statistics by year, going all the way back to 2015 and all the way to year to date. Right now we're in 2020, but all of the information is here. You can see total originated loans, the average size of each loan project. We can see total average project size per loan. Go down here, we can look at how many projects were greater than 180 days late. You can see very, very low amounts here, which is good. And then defaults, we have actual 0% defaults since 2015, which is quite an achievement for a peer-to-peer lending company. And anticipated defaults at 1%. Total capital paid back, total interest paid back. And what I was very impressed to see that Crowdproperty does provide is spreads. Now, the spread is the difference of the interest rate between what a lender is paid as an investor and what a borrower is paying on their loan. Then Crowdproperty provides all of that information for you to see. Now, the thing you want to pay attention to here is the average lender rate since 2015 has been 8.87%. That's what they've received. A borrower has been paying on average 11.17% on their loans. So that means there is about a 2.3% spread on loans, which is excellent. That means you can really kind of take an estimate of risk from just that number itself. It's not all you want to pay attention to when it comes to risk, but is a great indication of risk. So if you're a lender who's being paid 3% in interest, and you know that a borrower is paying 12 or 13% on their loan, you can imagine that the risk level there would be pretty high for you as a lender, because the risk to reward isn't very good if you're being paid 3% and the borrower is paying 12, 13, 14%. So this shows you that there's not much of a spread between what you're being paid as an investor of 8.87% and what the borrower is actually paying on their loan on average at 11.17%. Now, what that means to me is that the risk level is very, very What that means to me is that the amount of risk that I'm taking seems to be very adequate for what I'm being paid. There's not too much of a spread between lender investment returns and what the borrower is actually paying on their loans. If you want an explanation of these different fields, you can see the little numbers here, 7 and 8. So you can go down here to the bottom and see what the difference is between contracted rate, which is here, and actual rate. So you got contracted rate and actual rate. So go ahead and take the time to read this information and become familiar with these statistics, because they are very, very important and helpful. One other thing I would recommend doing, especially if you're a new lender, is to check out the deals that Crowdproperty has already funded. Those are previous deals, and you can see those under here, the live projects link. If you click on that from your dashboard or anywhere inside your dashboard on that left side, and then you scroll down, you're going to see previously funded projects. So let's look at this first one here, this land west of Ash Close. We're going to see that once you click on find out more, see the loan amount was £400,000 and 589 investors funded £400,000. If you do a little calculation, that's an average of £679 per investor. And when I told you before about manual funding and how competitive it is, you'll see that only £679 average was able to be invested by the 589 different investors. Some of the other projects have even more investors. You can see this one here, 658 investors, 548 investors. And as they go down the list, you'll see that number start to reduce. Some of the older deals where there probably weren't as many people investing. Now, if we go all the way down to the very bottom, you'll see here 73 investors and 140 investors on some of the older deals. So that's how you can look at some of the other deals that have been funded and introduced by Crowdproperty. One of the other things on the website that I think is important for every new lender to read is the terms and conditions. Every peer-to-peer lender is required to put their terms and conditions on their website, and those terms and conditions explain things like the legal process, if there is ever a wind down process, or anything to do with the company itself and the terms and things that affect you as a peer-to-peer lender. And the way you access those terms and conditions is it's actually quite hidden, but if you go into your personal details link here, and then you scroll down to the bottom, you'll see this lender's terms and conditions, and you can download the PDF here, or you can read it on the website by just scrolling down. I think it's something that every peer-to-peer lender should be aware of, just so you're not seeing anything unexpected in there that you may not agree with. So there you have it. That is the Crowdproperty platform and dashboard. That's how you make an investment. That's how you set up your auto invest. Generally, I'm very happy with the system. I think it's quite intuitive. It's pretty easy to use. If you're a new investor coming in for the first time, I don't think you'll have any problem navigating the dashboard and making your selections for your auto or manual invest. And Crowdproperty has a great track record since 2015. They have sensible projects and sensible spreads between what the lenders are being paid in interest and what the borrowers are being charged for their interest on their loans. If you have any suggestions, comments, or concerns, please leave them down below in the comment section. And go ahead and do me a favor and just hit that like on the thumbs up button, and go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you're not a subscriber, and hit that notification bell so you can be informed of new videos when they are released. And don't forget that I live stream every Thursday evening. You can find the link on the front page of the website on financialthing.com. And I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you soon.